welcome to this live. My name is Kayla Cox. I am the owner of this channel, 6 Miles to Supper. And 6 Miles to Supper is a description basically of how I lost weight with intermittent fasting. I had a highest recorded weight of 222.2 pounds, which meant my BMI was 35.8, I believe 35.8 or 35.6, but basically I was obese. And then over time, through practicing intermittent fasting, most specifically OMAD, that's my preferred way to eat, which is 1 meal a day, I was able to get down to a lowest confirmed weight of like 142. And then I've been maintaining in a normal BMI, which is anything less than 154 for me since I've been maintaining that since October of 2018, but my initial weight loss, where I lost 65 pounds of that, that was since November of 2016. I am happy to share about my weight loss journey. I eat whatever I want. I don't have any restricted kind of foods. I always struggled with my weight from the time I was about 6 years old. That was the first time I remember being on a diet until age 29, 30. And so if you have questions, let me know in the chat. I am not a doctor or a nutritionist or a dietitian. I'm just somebody who has been there and done that. So thanks for being here. And if you have questions, put them in the chat. My husband is in here as 6 Miles to Supper. Jay is doing that. So thank you, Jay, for moderating. Okay, so this is a question we had last week I did not get to, and I do apologize because I really wanted to answer it. And I just, I had already ended the live. I was like, oh no, there's that question. So we're going to start off with it today. And this came in through the anonymous questions forums. So if you're an introvert like me and you don't really like go into the comment sections and chatting and all that, you can always submit your questions anonymously through that form. It's a Google form. I post it on my posts tab on YouTube, and it stays the same from week to week. So you can just bookmark that form, and if you have a question throughout the week, it pops in your head, you can put it in there, and then I will try to get to it in the lives. So here we go. Early Bird says, I am worried about an upcoming visit with my family. I cannot eat late at night. It makes me feel bad and often affects my sleep. Plus, I am just hungrier in the daytime. So my eating window usually ends at about 4 p.m. Sometimes I stretch it to 5. But my family eats late. Like 7 p.m. at the earliest, and that is pretty late. When I'm there, I've tried eating less the rest of the day so that I can have a normal meal at night, but I don't want to. Plus, my body is so used to eating early that I end up eating too much in the afternoon and at night. It's just a few days, and I want to have the attitude that you do, which is I can go off my plan for special occasions. But this stresses me out so much. Do you have any suggestions? I just want to add how delightful you are. Well, thank you very much. And I've learned so much watching your videos. Well, I'm happy that the videos have been helpful. So this situation just recently happened to me. I went up to Georgia to visit my family. So, and I've had lots of situations like this where I go out of town, and there are, to me, there's like the way I would prefer to eat, and then there's everybody else's way, like what they would really love. Like, I love just eating once a day. It simplifies my life. I end up eating the right amount. It works, right? But when you're on vacation, like when I'm on vacation with my family, it feels like all we do is eat. It's just like one meal after another. It's really weird when you're going from OMAD to just kind of like an all-day eating kind of thing. It's different, and it's not my preferred way. I would much prefer to eat one big meal and like really enjoy the meal. It tastes better. Like I just enjoy it more. I end up eating the right amount. It's all good. But like you said, I like to just go with the flow on those days. And that can be stressful. Like I'll give you an example. This past time when I was going up to Georgia, my weight is a little bit higher than what I'd like for it to be. Like I would love to just be in the 140s, hang out there all the time, never go above 150. Now I'm not even overweight until I get, like above 154. And even then, like when I was at 158 back in the end of 2016, that was like my initial, like I got down to that weight. I was like, I feel great here. I do feel great there. So it's not like I feel bad at like a higher weight. I really don't. But just for my own, like having having a plan. Like, it's important for me to have a plan, to have a goal, and to say, this is where I want to be. So like when I went up to Georgia, I was like already at like 151, 152 at my 7-day average. That's where it was hanging out. I was like, I don't like this because I want to be able to just enjoy it. And so I did. I was like, I'm gonna have to not care. And there's like a perfectionist kind of bone in my body still. I'm still trying to like not have it, but I do have it. It is there. Which is like, what if my 7-day average went above 154.5, right? Well, what if that happened? Then I would be overweight again. Like, what would that mean? And so I did have to kind of walk myself through that. Like, what would that mean? Like, nothing bad would really happen. I mean, I suppose some people on this channel might get disappointed, right? Like, I can't believe that she didn't perfectly do her plan. But as I've talked about in this book, the Laid Back Guide to Weight Loss Maintenance, I talk about like, here's the highest my weight has ever been in maintenance, and here are the things that I continue to struggle with. And a thing that I make really clear in this book is like, it's for the rest of your life. You mess up, you got to like keep going even when you don't do it perfectly. So I was like, okay, I got to take my own advice and just be like, okay, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to pretend as if, and this is what I try to do my entire life, I pretend as if I don't have a YouTube channel. I'm not going to try to like change my behavior because it's like, well, I've got to talk about this in a video. Like, I'd rather just try to live my life as if I don't have one and then report back to you like, here's what actually happened. So this is what I'm doing right now. So so I went on vacation. It was like, there was a 24-hour period where I think we went to 3 different Mexican restaurants. I think that's right. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, so much chips and queso. And it was all very delicious, but like, these are meals that are like super, well, they're super high calorie, yes, but also like there's a lot of salt, like whenever you go out to eat. And so I was like mentally prepared, like, I'm going to gain weight. I know that I will. And actually there was a slight gain, I think maybe like a pound or so, and then came back off of vacation. There wasn't a big increase, but the days after that, they were actually a little bit higher. I was like, oh man, like, this is ridiculous. And actually my husband too experienced the same thing. I think he said his weight went up by like 3 pounds overnight. I think mine went up by like 3 or 4 pounds overnight one time. And I chalked that up to like, my body was just like readjusting from vacation mode back down to being here. But there's also stress there too. Like, so going up to Georgia, I love my family so much. Like, they are very, very dear to me. But aside from the eating plan being different, that is a factor. But my dad passed away 2 years ago, and it is really hard. like really, really hard to be around the old home place and all the memories, and it's just sad. Like, I don't know what else to tell you other than parts of that trip were so sad, like just heart-wrenching. And there are other things that I can't get into because of various privacy things, but just know that there are other things in my life, other things that are just, I can't talk about it because it's not my place to talk about it, but it does affect me emotionally. And so there were just things where it was like, it was a pretty upsetting trip in some ways. So I was like hyper aware also that this, like, not only is it just a lot of eating, but it's also potentially a lot of emotional eating that's going to happen because I am feeling emotional right now. Plus we're eating, and I want to enjoy it. So all that to say that my weight this morning was like 151.8. Okay, so like that, which is fine. Like, and so it has come back down from whatever I could. I think one of my single day weights was like 155.8. I think I could be wrong on that, but the point is, like, the 7-day average has stayed below, right, in the normal BMI, but a single day weight did get above it. But that day that I saw, I was like, like, it's not a great number. I don't like, yay, that's so awesome. Like, it's just like, dang it, I guess I ate too much, or maybe my water weight. I just kind of wait and see. And that is what I did. I didn't change anything. I was like, we'll just wait and see. And it comes right back down because it was just water weight and probably emotional, just kind of stress. Like, when cortisol levels increase, which is a thing that happens when you feel stressed, your weight can increase a little bit, your water weight. Okay, so my suggestion, get through it the best you can. Know that, just mentally prepare that when you go on vacation, even if you're in a caloric deficit or just um, a balance situation, like you really aren't overeating, your weight is probably going to be up higher when you get back. I would just like mentally prepare yourself, like give yourself 2 weeks when you get back for your weight to just kind of like go back to its resting place. That's kind of the way I approach it. It's like those numbers might be higher as soon as I get back. There's like an article I read a long time ago about like your weight on vacation. A lot of times people come back from vacation and their weight is like 10 pounds higher, but that's because, you know, a lot of these people are on like low carb diets and then they go on vacation and then their weight increases by 10 pounds because it's mostly water weight. They get back off vacation and then their water weight goes back away, and then you're back. Like, I think the average for most people who go on vacation is something like a pound or two, maybe. So it's really nothing to worry about, and just try to enjoy it. Again, you know, I can tell you, I've had some vacations where it's like super enjoyable, and then other ones where I am a bit more like, you know, like it's just not a great time. Like I would say that was an example of like, that wasn't a great time for me, just because it was just like a perfect storm kind of things. Anyway, so enjoy it, do your best. You know, like even if you get like, one thing that does help me is like, okay, what if you gain 10 pounds? Like, what if you go on vacation, you just absolutely lose it, right? And you're only gone for 3 days, and you just eat so much that you really do gain 10 pounds, that would be really hard to do, but perhaps you could do it. That weight can come back off. Like, once you know how to lose weight, then all it is like getting back into those habits and getting the weight off. And it may take time. Like, if you lose an average of like a pound a week, it's going to take you 10 weeks to get that off. So like, what is that? That's 2.5 months. You're going to have to be consistent and get that weight back off. But you know, you can still do it. Like, it's not like, what's that phrase? I love this phrase. It's not actually Winston Churchill that said it, but it's a great phrase, which is, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So as long as you can just say, you know what, doesn't matter. Even if I screw up, even if I gain some weight, I'm going to continue on the journey. I'm going to figure out how to get myself back into those good habits, and I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to let this setback, this weight gain, ruin my journey. It's just part of it. Okay, so hopefully that helps you. Okay, next question. Amita Bapat, 1122, here on the live. Hey there. Says, I lost my weight by doing OMAD and walking, and I went from 185 down to 147 in 3 years. But I gained back all my weight. Life happens. Some events were stressful. And I couldn't follow intermittent fasting then. I'm currently at the 168-pound mark. Could you talk about consistency? I need to get below 130 pounds and have a normal BMI. Okay, so in order to have a normal BMI. Okay, so first of all, thank you for sharing that, because that, like, you're already like doing a great job of getting the weight back off. Like, you were at 185, you dropped down to 147, and so now you've dropped what? I can't do math this morning. That's 17 pounds, I think. So you've already dropped a good chunk. So consistency. What all to say about consistency? It's probably the most important part of the weight loss journey. Having a plan that you are consistent with. Because squirrel syndrome, you know, like, where it's like new shiny object, like, oh, like they're having success with this, maybe I should go do that. And then like you try a thing for like a few days and it's like, nope, that's not working. And then you try another thing for a few days. It's like, nope, well, it worked at first and now it's not working. Like, that inconsistency, it can waste a lot of time, because then you never know what's working, right? Like, when you kind of are doing everything, you have no idea really what's working, what's not, particularly because your weight does fluctuate. Water weight fluctuates. And so if you are just going based off your morning weight, and that's all you're doing, it's like, this morning I was up by 3 pounds, so man, that plan doesn't work, then you're not getting real good data. And so I have a video, it's called like, be like, what was it? Act like a robot to lose weight, something like that. But basically, the idea is getting consistent with a plan and staying consistent. Just like you form your plan, whatever that plan is, you want to make it something you'll actually stick to. I would highly encourage that it's so enjoyable that it's like a no-brainer. It's like, of course I would want to do that plan. Like, you're not going to have to fight with yourself about it. Whenever you find yourself fighting with yourself about your plan, I say it's time to change it. It's called Become a Weight Loss Machine While Remaining Human. But it is true. Like, it's computer programming applied to weight loss. Like, the idea of, like, you get in a loop and you just keep doing those things. Because if you keep doing those things, over time you will lose weight. Like, all weight loss, 100% of the time, is getting yourself into a caloric deficit and staying there until you reach your goal weight. That's all there is to it. It is that simple. But, like, how do you get yourself there? Like, how do you get there and stay there? Well, you have to come up with a plan that you're going to stick to, and you have to just keep implementing that constantly. And you get feedback, right? From the scale will give you good feedback. Your clothes probably won't give you great feedback. Your looking in the mirror and judging your own body probably won't give you great feedback, but the scale will. Over time, you will see, like, yes, I am losing weight. So, provided you have the tracking in place, like when I say tracking, all I mean is weight. Track your weight and do your plan. Track your weight, do your plan. Track your weight, do your plan. And then if the scale, like say over 6 to 12 weeks of time, is like stuck, like it's just not moving, well, then that tells you that the way you're implementing your plan right now, you're in an energy balance situation. Like, you're no longer in a deficit. And so if you want to continue to lose weight, you need to tweak it again. So, consistency is just so important, which is the thing about, like, consistency. You do need flexibility, and that's one of those nuances. It's like, well, how much flexibility can you have in your plan? I like to give myself a day off every week, right? So Sundays from this whole time has been a day off. I don't do any kind of plan on Sunday. So I don't fast on Sundays. I mean, we fast for communion because we're Orthodox Christians, but so that means I don't eat from midnight on Saturday well, I mean, technically that's midnight Sunday, right? Like, if you want to be real technical, to be clear with what I'm saying, 11:59 p.m. After that on Saturday night, I don't eat anymore. Okay. And I don't eat until after communion on Sunday morning. So Sunday morning, I go to church, we take communion, and then after that we have coffee hour. There's usually lots of baked goods there, and I'll eat some of those, and that'll be the first meal of the day for me. And then for the rest of the day on Sunday, and that probably starts at around 11, I'll eat whenever, whatever, snack around, or, have a big meal, or have, whatever. I'll just do that on Sundays. It's just a day off. And so just keeping the things consistent, because once you're consistent, then you can judge that. Then you can say, okay, I'm doing this thing and here are my results. But if you're not really consistent with anything, then it's like, well, what's working, what's not? It's impossible to know. So, I would just say, learn from what happened, right? Because you did have a plan that worked. So why did it stop working? Because, I mean, you mentioned you couldn't follow intermittent fasting, and life was stressful. And heavens knows, I know, I get it. Like, life can be super stressful. And I'm like, when I look back at the past 5 years, let's say the last 5 years, I do question how much weight loss success I would have had, like, during that time, as opposed to just being in maintenance. I'm very thankful that, like, my life got really stressful after I'd already been in maintenance for several years. And so it is hard. Like, when your life is kind of like, you're just going through hard things, like, parents are sick or dying or did die, and you're dealing with grief, and you're dealing with, like, just tragedy that happens, because tragedy does happen, and it's very hard. And you got to just be compassionate with yourself, and to not be too demanding, like to have reasonable expectations. Like, you're going through a hard time, like it's okay, like when you're going through a hard time, to have a hard time. uh do your best, like take really good care of yourself. And if that means that for that moment you either don't lose weight, or maybe you gain some weight, like you gain some weight, okay, like no big deal. Like you can start again, and you already have. So you're well on your way there. It sounds to me like you've already got a plan that's working. Like, I would just say keep doing what you're doing. Sorry, there is a fly that that keeps flying right around my head. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, so just keep doing what you're doing. I think you're doing great. I think you'll get there. I mean, it might take you a while. Particularly, just kind of mentally prepare yourself that as you approach the normal BMI, your weight loss will probably slow. Most people do find that, like, once you get down to that last 15, the last 15 pounds everybody wants to lose, it's super slow. For me, it was like a third of a pound a week. It was very, very slow. It would have felt like no progress at all had I not been weighing daily, paying attention to my 7-day average, and just being like, I'm just going to keep doing this until I quit, until I really do see like I've gone as far as I can go with this. So, all right, next question. Christy Alley, 7220, on the live, hey there, says, do you weigh every day and then take the average? That's exactly what I do. I learned somewhere along the way on this weight loss journey, I think it was in 2015, I was getting so frustrated because, okay, in the past, like I said, I struggled with my weight my entire life. So I had a really, really negative relationship with the scale. Okay. To me, by the time I was 30 years old, like, the scale is a humiliation device, right? It is a device. It's like torture. It's like a torture device. And my problem was, I would tie my self-worth to the number I saw on the scale. Like, that number will tell me, like, am I failing in life? Am I a good mom? Am I a good wife? And am I worth anything, right? So if that number was higher, then the answer was no. And if the number was lower, it was like, yes. And so I had to change my entire relationship with the scale. And so I did see a pattern. When I look back on my life, I was like, okay, when I'm weighing, my weight stays in check, but my pattern was I would weigh, like, I'd be really consistently weighing when I was trying to lose weight, and I would do a great job of losing weight. And then I'd get down to my goal weight and be like, thank God I don't have to weigh anymore. So then I'd like throw away the scale or put it away, never to be heard from again, until I found myself back in a place where it's like, I'm in a size jeans I don't want to be anymore. And like, what's going on? And I finally get on the scale, and then I'd, again, like, weigh myself consistently, get down to my goal weight, and then promptly put it back in the back of the closet and be like, okay, I don't have to do that anymore. And so when I saw that pattern, I was like, okay, so here's a crazy idea. Maybe I should always weigh. Because apparently I love to eat, and I do. I love to eat. I love to eat. I enjoy eating. I love food. But also, food was a way for me to deal with stress. Like, I would stress eat, and I had a lot of bad habits around food. I also have a big appetite. Like, I can just sit down and eat a lot of food. Like, I just can. I have the capacity to do that. I could always eat. I'm like my brother-in-law, Roger. There's a great interview with him. If you want to go back and watch that, Jay will link to it, where he talks about, it's like, both of us are just the type of people, it's like, if you say, like, you want to eat, it's like, yeah, of course. Like, we're always up for food. And so, I understood that about myself, and I thought, okay, so I've got to change how I look at weighing. So what helped me was, number one, to kind of depersonalize it, or kind of, I can't, I think there's a term for this, but I can't think of what it's called. But basically, I tried to make it so that I was the nurse who was weighing the patient. Okay. So like I was just taking the number down. I was recording data. That's all I was doing. Like when I looked down at that number, it was data collection that I was about to do. It was not an assessment of what kind of a mother I am, or what kind of a wife I am, or what kind of a human being I am. This is just like, how many pounds does this body weigh, right? On earth right now. This is the number. So then I would write it down. Or eventually I would track it on the Fitbit app. So because when I got on the scale for the first time, I was like, it was like a slap in the face to me. Like I thought I was maybe 180, like maybe. I thought maybe I've let it go that far, maybe 185, like that was, but it was 222.2 pounds. So I was off by like 40 pounds, which is a good chunk to be off by, and so I thought, okay, so I'm not good at just estimating my weight. That's another part of it. Like I'm really not good at that. So I never want to be back here again, ever again. I was miserable. I was not one of those people who could just be like comfortable at that weight. Some people can, like, and I say more power to you. Like if you're healthy and you feel comfortable in your skin and like you're good where you're at, okay. But I was not. So then I decided, like when I saw that number, I was like, I'm weighing every day for the rest of my life. Like there's no more taking breaks from weighing. And I'm doing this as a gift to myself because I don't want to be back here. I don't want to be obese anymore. I don't want to be obese ever again. I want to keep this in check. I always want to know where I'm at with my weight. To me, this was like a health marker that I really wanted to track. And so I started weighing, and I increasingly became frustrated with the down and the up and the down and the up. And I was like, what is, like, how am I supposed to know what's working? Because, a typical week would be like, 222.2, and then like 219, and then 223, and then like 222 again. And like, what are you supposed to do with that information? And so I think it was about May of that year, I saw an article, and the article said, they did a study, and they found that when people averaged their weight, they had better weight loss success because it kind of smooths out the fluctuations a little bit, because your weight is constantly fluctuating because of water weight, because of like how much you're sweating and how much sodium, how much salt is in your diet, and how much protein you're eating, and how much sugar you're eating, and and your hormones. If you're a female, oh my gosh, there's that whole menstrual cycle that you got to deal with. And so then I just said, okay, I'm just gonna have to try that. And so I started keeping track of my 7-day average, and it made such a huge difference, because then I was able to see like, oh, actually there is a pattern, like it is coming down. And I found that was so much easier to interpret. It's not 100%, okay? Like there are sometimes still where it's like, okay, like my 7-day average is like slightly higher, but it, at what point is it like that's just a normal kind of fluctuation even in the 7-day average, versus is that something to be concerned with? Like, you're in a surplus. And I just try to pay attention to like a 6-week look back. I look back 6 weeks. I say, where was I at? Where am I at today? And if the number is lower, I'm going to say, okay, that means I'm in an overall deficit. And if the number is higher, I'm going to say, I'm probably in a little bit of a surplus. And that's the way I always approach it. And so that's what I do. And I do have on my website, it's free. I don't ask for your email or anything. This is just absolutely, it was so helpful to me on my weight loss journey. I uploaded it a long time ago. It's the 7-day weight tracking spreadsheet. And so if you're a spreadsheet person, I love spreadsheets. You can use that. My personal flow right now, because I used to use an app all the time. Like I've gone through several different weight tracking apps. None of them satisfy me though, because none of them really keep track of a daily 7-day average. None of the ones that I've tried have. So a while back, and I'm still testing it out, but a while back I built, with the help of AI, a little Telegram bot. So what I do now, and I just like basically hooked that into my CSV file. And so what it does now is like in the morning, I get up, I weigh, and then on my Telegram app, I just send a message to my bot and I tell it my morning weight. And then it replies back with my current 7-day average, which I love. So, anywho, the point is though, if you like spreadsheets, that spreadsheet, you can go and you can fill that out. I mean, people do it all different ways. You do it manually if you love math, or you can use apps. I mean, and again, I just really like the 7-day average. That has been what works for me. So yes. To answer your question, yes, averaging. I do have videos about that, like how to use the weight tracking spreadsheet and all that stuff, but you can download it, 6milestosupper.com/freebies, but I'm sure Jay has linked that in the chat. So, okay. Wamoni Macaroni 11 says, what do you think about the impact from fasting on hormones? There are many warnings about a negative impact, but in my view, those warnings are mostly from people who are against fasting in general. Yeah. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. And so here's what I know. I've never felt better than when I'm fasting. I feel the best when I am. And so I am doing, like most days. Now, I mean, I do have coffee with half and half, like, the fly was on my coffee cup. But so this coffee does have half and half in it. So I am getting some calories throughout the fasting window. Okay. It's not a complete fast, it's sturdy fasting. But, I'm just not worried about it. I used to worry about that when I was approaching intermittent fasting. I was like, oh, but what if it messes up my hormones? What if it breaks my metabolism? I had a lot of those what ifs, and it's not well studied. It's not. Like most of the intermittent fasting studies that you might run across, either one, they're rats that are mice that they're extrapolating from, or sometimes it's like self-reported fasting. So it's not like they're watching people and like making sure they're fasting and then studying them. They're not. They're just like, oh, they said they're fasting for 12 hours, or they said they fast whatever, or 10 years ago they said they didn't eat but one time, in 24 hours, so they call them OMADers. I mean, like there's a lot that you have to sift through, and in my experience, there's just not a lot of data. An interesting one, as far as just fasting goes, and I'm gonna forget, I do not know the name of it, but there is like a long-term kind of study of fasters, and in particular, these are Mormons, because Mormons have a fasting that they do, and it's pretty consistent, and their health outcomes are great, right? Now, here's the problem. There's also other things they do, like they don't drink alcohol. I think they don't drink hot drinks, like no coffee. I'm pretty sure that's right. But they've got, like good health outcomes. But the thing with all the studies, all the science, human beings, human lives, even like just eating and all that stuff, there's so many factors, there's so many confounding variables that can be present. Like somebody who is, let's say somebody who's eating, like they're obese, right? Well, maybe it's the extra weight that is the problem, but maybe it's their stress levels that are the problem. Maybe it's not even the stress levels that are the problem, but it's the way they think about their stress levels, which there's a great video called Make Stress Your Friend. I can't think of her name, McGonigal. Is it McGonigal? Kelly McGonigal? I could be wrong on that. It's a TED Talk. It's great. But in that one, she talks about how it's actually how you perceive your stress. Like if you think, oh, this stress is going to kill me and that kind of a thing, then it will actually harm you. But the people who think of stress as a good thing, like this is what's, making me a high performer, and this is going to be good for me, this is going to stretch me and grow me, they have better health outcomes. So it can be your friend or your foe, depending on your mindset. So, and where does mindset enter into all this? Again, I don't know. All I can tell you is my experience is I feel great. I don't get sick often, although I think I was in pretty good health even when I was obese. Like I think I have a strong constitution, maybe. but my period stayed regular this entire time. Like again, I am entering, you know, my 40s. I'm 40, almost two. Yeah, 41. I'm 41 right now. I'll be 42 in November. Um, but it's been very regular, but there have been a couple of times in the past, say, year or so, where it's like they're kind of lengthening out, and I think that's probably perimenopause. You know, like it's part of getting older. I am getting older. I've got gray hairs. You maybe can't see them on the video, but certainly if you go back and look at videos of me when I first started this channel until now, I have aged. It's been 8, 9 years almost. So anyway, yeah, and there's plenty of like anti-fasting people, and I just ignore them because I'm like, I don't really care what you say. Even if they came out with a study, I would probably be like, well, that's not my experience, and I'm kind of a rebel in that way. So Anna, I love OMAD, but I do sometimes go back to my bad habits. My question is, if you way overeat, what are the steps you take to get back on plan? I need help with this. I have lost 20 pounds. Congratulations. I am 5'5" and weigh 170. So you're already pretty close to being a normal BMI at your current weight. So you're doing great. I think you need to know that everybody messes up. Everybody. I mess up constantly. You know, like there are so many times I'm like, why did I do that? Like, you know, I still continue to struggle with eating too fast. I do it, you know, and particularly like when I got back from Georgia, I noticed like, man, when I sit down, I am just just the speed of eating is too fast. Like, what are you doing? You know better. Like, I know better, right? I know better. Still makes it hard. I mean, or that doesn't make it hard, but it just still is difficult. I get in my own head. Like the thing that happens, and one technique that really does help me is to, when I realize I messed up, just to ask myself, what happened? You know, like, and not in like a judgmental, harsh, like, oh, I can't believe you. Just like are you okay? You know, like, what's going on? Because you know that's going to probably lead to overeating, and you don't want to overeat. So what's going on? What like, I try to be curious about it, non-judgmental and curious. And so a lot of times, like, you know, when I realize you're eating fast, what is going on? Well, okay, I come back from vacation, I feel behind. That's one thing. I feel behind. It's like I came back down, and now, you know, there's videos to make, and there's editing to do, and there's word counts to get in, and like and just so many things, right off the bat. It's like it felt like there's so much to do. So there's that. There was also the emotional stuff that I had dealt with in Georgia. I brought it back down to Florida with me. You know, it's like, you know, just these realities that I have to face about, you know, just various situations, again, that I can't talk about, but that are just, they're hard, they're emotional. And so then, by doing it that way, by being just non-judgmental and curious, then I'm able to kind of say, okay, let's look at some solutions. Sometimes there's a solution. It's like, okay, so try to be slower, try to take a breath, you know, make sure that when you sit down, try not to think too much. Part of it is also trying to like plan out my days better, make sure that when I'm working, I'm really working on the stuff that matters, paying attention to like, what's that thing that's pulling me right now? Like, what did I not do that I if I had done that, I wouldn't be thinking about it now? What are some ways I could have dealt with that in a more effective way? And then sometimes just being compassionate on myself, like, you know, part of this right now is it's just hard, and it might take you like a week to kind of like readjust and kind of like process, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, and that's what I do. I give myself pep talks all the time. I do post-mortems all the time. I talk about that in this book in particular, the workbook, the Intermittent Fasting workbook. If you're a workbook person and you're struggling, I think this will help you. I wrote it just to break down the weight loss journey into all the different parts, from getting started through like forming your plan, iterating on your plan, then getting yourself to your goal weight, and then what to do once you're at your goal weight, handling maintenance and stuff. But post-mortems, the idea is when your plan dies, you need to resurrect it, right? Like you got to figure out why it died, and then you have to get back on plan. And so a post-mortem, basically you just sit yourself down and you ask yourself, like, what happened? Maybe not why did it happen, like at first just what happened really specifically, because sometimes some of us, I certainly had this tendency, probably still have it to some extent, to kind of catastrophize. Like when I mess up, I can tend to be a bit exaggerated in my language, like, oh, I totally blew it, or I way overate. But if you can say, well, when I really think about it, when I sat down today to my meal, I ate really fast. I ate fast, and then you kind of go through the process of what was going on in your mind during that time. You were eating fast, but what was going through your head? And you just write it all out. And then the process of writing it all out is really helpful. Like I can't stress to you, getting used to writing things down on the weight loss journey. Write down your plan, write down your postmortems. They're so helpful because once it's down on paper, you can actually see, like, it's easier to see your own ridiculousness sometimes. Like when I write down sometimes the things that are in my head, it's like, oh wow, that's really, like, that's not true. It's just easier to judge correctly. Like, that's not true, that's not reality. It's this other way. And then, writing down some ideas, brainstorm how you could go forward and do a better job in the future, or try to solve that problem. So yeah, a postmortem, and lots of good pep talks. Like, encourage yourself, be your own encourager. It's important. You're the one that has to live with you in your head. Like you, like, other people won't know what you're going through. They don't know what you're going through, and try to keep that in mind. Like, they don't know, unless you tell them. And I'm not the type of person that shares stuff very often, with, like I just kind of deal with it internally. So, there you go. Okay. Heidi says, dirty fasting. Some claim that it makes fasting harder, but you are able to continue doing OMAD with no problems, it seems. Some also claim that weight will come back with dirty fasting, but that doesn't seem to be the case for you. I think you state that if you feel any hunger pains, you just drink more coffee with half and half. Correct. For now, I'm drinking my homemade cold brew. I love cold brew, which is the only way I can stomach black coffee. Like, I can't stomach black coffee. So, because I need to lose 25 pounds, and I'm able to go about 18 to 21 hours at this point after 5 weeks. When I do drink half and half, it does seem to make me hungry again sooner. I did just try heavy cream yesterday, and I made it to 18 hours without a big hunger issue. I rebound daily and lift weights 2 times a week with my trainer, which I love, but I haven't added in the amount of walking that you do. That is my next goal, since I know that I'm too sedentary. I guess I'm worried that your dirty fasting is offset by your miles of walking. Were you ever losing weight doing dirty fasting OMAD without walking? Thank you so much for your encouraging support. I love your channel, and I'm buying your book. Well, thanks for buying my book. I appreciate that. So, okay. The whole thing is, the only thing that will make you lose weight ever is a caloric deficit. It's not about OMAD or a 16-8 or a 12-12 or even keto or carnivore or veganism. Like, none of those things are the silver bullet to weight loss. The silver bullet to weight loss is the caloric deficit. All of those things are strategies, ways of eating, their approaches to it. And you can practice all of those in such a way, all of those, to get yourself into a caloric deficit. But you can also practice all of those perfectly and still be in a caloric surplus and gain weight. Like, so you can absolutely do OMAD absolutely consistently. And, you know, if you're burning 1,600 calories a day and you're eating 1,800 calories a day, you're going to gain weight over time. You'll gain probably 10 or 12 pounds that first year. So, so it's not about dirty fasting. It's not about clean fasting. It is what plan will help you eat the right amount of calories. For me, that's OMAD. The way I practice OMAD, having my coffee with half and half, practicing OMAD. These days I do OMAD Monday through Friday. I do 2 meals a day on Saturday, and Sunday completely day off, right? That works for me because that's the plan where I just eat the right amount of food, just kind of naturally. Like it just fits in my life well. I end up enjoying the food. I end up, you know, just eating the right amount of food. So it's really not about that. But now, like, what about the walking? Like, the walking does burn calories, absolutely. And so, like, the question particularly was, were you ever losing weight doing dirty fasting OMAD without walking? I had already implemented the walking in, I want to say by November of 2015, I was doing the daily walking of 6 miles a day. I think by that time I was consistent with those walks. I didn't start OMAD until April of 2016. Okay. So, so when I started walking, the 6 miles a day, and again, I think that was probably October or November of 2015. I probably have those records somewhere. I could probably go back and see when exactly it was, but I was consistent with steps and I was not losing weight. I was doing, at that point, I was probably like at a 16.8, but not being consistent. Okay. Not being consistent with intermittent fasting. But I did get consistent with my steps. So I can't speak to that as far as like, I didn't actually do that. I never ran the experiment. What if I just stopped walking my 6 miles and try to lose weight? I did so the first bout of maintenance I had, this was before the YouTube channel. Okay. This was like, November of 2016 until September of 2017. September of 2017, that's when everything changed because I started this channel. Okay. And that added complexity. I'm overall glad I did it, but it did. Like, I like having that other bout of weight loss and other bout of maintenance because that was just me, you know, me being me. No eyes on me. Nobody knows about my weight loss journey. It was just me. Even my husband was completely ignorant, apparently, of the fact that I had gained weight and that I had lost it. The point is, in that first bout of maintenance, so I got myself down to 158. And I decided I feel great here. I'm going to see about maintaining. And so during that time, that year, I was very loosey-goosey with my plan. I was like, I kind of want to see how much I can get away with. You know, like, I'm going to keep weighing, but I'm going to see, like, do I need to fast every day? Can I just not fast? What does that feel like? Well, what if I don't do any of my steps? Like, what if I don't ever go for walks? Like, what does this do? You know? And I was just very experimental about it, and which was great because I learned a lot of stuff. The first thing I learned that was very obvious to me was if I don't walk, I get grumpy. Like, so the walking for me is not about calorie burn. I've never done it for the calorie burn because the amount of calories that I'm burning, I mean, it could just so easily be consumed. You know, like it's just easy to eat more calories than you need. But it does burn calories. So I'm not arguing you with that on that point. But to me, the real power with walking is it lowers my stress, anxiety, all that stuff. I feel better. I just do. I feel good when I'm out walking. And it puts things in perspective. It's a great time to think. And so I just enjoy life more. So I realized, like, okay, the walking or some form of activity. I mean, I knew that it was like, you could probably get this same kind of, you know, benefit from other types of exercise. But for me, walking, I love it. It's, you know, a thing that I can be consistent with. Um, and so I decided, okay, I'm going to be consistent with steps. Like that is a thing. That's like, that's going to be in this maintenance journey. Like that's going to be a thing that I do. I'm going to keep walking the 6 miles. Um, and it's weird. It's very weird. Walking the 6 miles also just helps keep my life in a better kind of flow. Like I get more accomplished when I walk those steps. I know that seems like, why would that be? Because you have less time, but it makes me organize my day when I have that like non-negotiable. Like I do this every day. So how am I going to make that work? Um, and then what I saw with the actual like maintenance and stuff was I could practice a lot of different ways, and I pretty much I stayed in like a 5 pound range during that time. Of course, it was easier to maintain in that 5 pound range because I weighed more, so you can eat more. When you weigh more, you can eat more, and so yeah, I found that it was like uh you know, I did not notice a difference between like weight loss, or I mean, sorry, not weight loss, but I didn't gain weight when I stopped walking. It was just that my attitude uh, was bad. So that's why I did it. Okay, next question. Florence says, I've been stuck at the same weight for a while, about 4 months. Okay. It took me a year to lose 50 pounds. Congratulations on dropping 50. That is awesome. I would like to lose 20 more pounds. I'm 5'5" and a half, and I weighed 200 and I'm now at 150. Okay, so basically we're almost the same height. I'm slightly taller than you. Can you please give examples of tweaks you made to lose the last 17 pounds? This would be so helpful. Thanks much. Okay, here's the thing. So my plan was the same. Like when you look at, so from April of 2016 to November 2016, my plan was walk 6 miles a day. And actually I did 7 days a week. I should mention that. I did 7 days a week on that first bout, and on the second bout of weight loss. So that was one thing. So walk 6 miles a day, 7 days a week, cheat day on Sunday, eat whatever I want at all of my meals, and then OMAD 6 days a week. So the plan didn't change. And so I didn't like it's hard to explain, because it's like I was just eating, you know, like I here I think this is an important point to make though. I didn't change anything, but towards the end of that journey, and I was losing about 1/3 of a pound a week, okay? But towards the end, when I got down to my lowest weights, like when I was down in the low 140s, I did a fundraiser on this channel, and so it was for a well in Jezza, Uganda. And there, you know, you can go back and watch the videos about it if you're curious. But so I raised $10,000 for this well. And like the way I tried to raise the money was on this channel, I did 100,000 steps in a day, and we were in Missouri, I think, Omaha, Nebraska. Wow, I couldn't have been further off. And I did 100,000 steps in a single day. I did lives like all day long. I was asking, you know, for donations, and I was just doing the best I could. I never had done a fundraiser in my life before, and I haven't since that day. But I was just trying to get these people a well. And so, because I had reached out to this charity because I'd been given to this charity for a long time, many, many years. And I asked them about, like, could I do a fundraiser? And they said, well, actually, to tie into what you do on your channel, we have a situation where these girls in Jezza, Uganda, they're having to walk 6 miles to get water, and it's, you know, it's not great water. You know, this is dirty water. It's making them sick. They have diarrhea, and it's a pitiful kind of situation. But if they had a well dug, which is very expensive, then they could have fresh water. And so I thought, well, okay, that's great. Like, I can use this channel for good. Like, I mean, I do feel like the channel itself is good, right? Like, I feel like it's helpful. Hopefully it's helpful. But I also, like, I loved the idea of trying to you know, try to use the audience, like the attention for a good thing, you know. So raise the money, and that was stressful in and of itself. So my point is, this fundraiser that I was doing when my weight was getting the lowest was super stressful. And so what I learned is, while there's a certain level of stress that I go through that I'm definitely at danger of overeating, right? There's like a certain kind of stress, a certain kind of level of stress where I am like, I will probably overeat, or I will have to really, really put forth a lot of effort in order to not overeat. But then there is another level of stress where I can't eat, or it is very hard for me to eat. I didn't even know that was possible for me, really. But what happened was, I raised the money, finally raised the money, and then I stopped hearing from the charity. And that was super stressful because I was emailing them and they weren't getting back to me. And I started to worry what has happened to these people's money, because it wasn't like it was people here. And I feel like, man, that was like amazing, because people who just know me from YouTube, they like donated to this project that I told them about. Like I felt a tremendous amount of responsibility for this money, even though the charity always had the money. Like, nobody sent me a dime for it. It was like they sent it to the charity was dealing with it, but I felt very responsible. And so I wouldn't hear back. Then eventually they did get back to me, and they had tried to hit water and had failed. And the long and short of it was, what was actually happening in the background was, they were drilling and then not hitting water, or, you know, like the work was getting delayed because of the rainy season and everything. Like, you couldn't drill, and so there were reasons, but they just weren't telling me about it. And I think they were just waiting for, like, we've got good news, you know. But it was tearing me apart. It really was. Like, I couldn't eat. And so the tweak, right? Like, I wasn't trying to tweak the plan, but it did happen. I would sit down to my OMAD. So I haven't eaten all day long, right? I've had my coffee, but I haven't eaten all day long. And it was like, all I could do to eat one plate of food. It was all I could do. I had to force myself to eat. And I've never had to, like, it was just weird. But so that was happening. And that did help me get down to like 142. Maybe even a little bit lower than that. But I think my 7-day average, really, just like, when I look at like a consistent 7-day average, I think my lowest was about 142. And so then my weight was at its lowest, right? With like no effort. And that was I would say that was a tweak that happened to my plan. I was just eating less at the meal. And that did get me down to that weight. But then in January, I think it was January or February, I think I did the was that in, I think I did the fundraiser in like August. And then I think we hit or they they hit water, I think, in January. Is that right, Jay? Is it
it was funded in September. I don't
know. No, that was, yeah.
When they hit the water.
No, just like, does it not? We don't have. Anyway, the point is, I think it was around January of that year. It might have been February. But anyway, when it got funded, my appetite came back. I mean, like, I hit my knees. Like, when I got the email that they got water, like, I fell on my knees and thank God. And I mean, like, really, like, I'm about to cry just thinking about it. Like, I was, like, it was a big deal. Oh, sorry. But the point is, I was eating less than normal, because when my appetite came back, my weight went back up, like, to, I would say, probably around, I remember seeing like numbers like 152. I was like, whoa. That is when that happened, January 25th. Okay, January 25th is when I got the email that said we hit water. And that was, I mean, it was amazing. Like, I'm like, I'm thrilled that I did it, but man alive, it was rough. Okay, it was a really rough time. So, and that has, of course, given me a little bit of not trouble, but when I was trying to figure out for this bout of maintenance, like, where should my goal be? Because I did see that, like, after that, I had already decided to enter maintenance. That was one thing. I was like, I'm going to enter maintenance earlier. Like, when was it? Like, I think when I wrote the book. Which book? The Laid Back Guide to Intermittent Fasting, right? This one right here. Once I decided to enter maintenance, that was when I wrote the book. And so I didn't know enough at that point to really know, like, where should I try to stick, because I wrote that book when the well had not been successful yet. So I was in a place where it was like, I'm down at this lower weight and I feel like I'm just eating, I'm just eating what I want to eat, like how much I want to eat. But I didn't know at the time that, once we hit water, my appetite would increase, but it did increase. And then my weight went back up. I would say, like, most of the time since that time, it's been like in the high 140s. Like, that was usually where I was hanging out. When my dad got sick, that was when it went up to like 150, 152. I think I ended 2024 at 152 point something, 152.54, I think. And so and that was a hard year. Like, 2024 was a really hard year. And that was when my dad died. It's a lot of tough things. But my point is, like, I say all that to say this, like, the idea of, like, where the tweaks I made, well, the tweak, I think ended up happening was I put myself in a super stressful situation that I didn't deal well with, that like really affected my appetite, and that made me eat the right amount. And maybe I would have, maybe if I hadn't done that, right? Like, if I hadn't done that, maybe my weight would have, like, kind of petered out. My weight loss maybe would have petered out at about 148, 149, and I would have just decided to stay there. Like, that's kind of what I feel like, but I'm not sure. Okay, sorry, that was a long answer. Okay, Christy 10384 says, maybe you've answered this and I missed it, but did you start eating 2 meals on Saturday when you started maintenance, or was there another reason? There was another reason. We started going to church. So back in the day, back in like 2015, 2016, really my whole adult life, we didn't go to church. I was always a Christian. We would do a lot of Bible study. I read the Bible every day, but never went to church. And so when I was practicing intermittent fasting, I noticed it was like, I do great with intermittent fasting until Sunday morning. Sunday morning, my husband would make us homemade pancakes. And he wanted to do that. Like, it was just like a tradition he wanted to institute in our family. And I loved that tradition. And I wanted it to be a part of our lives. I did not want to get rid of it. But yet it was like, I couldn't figure out how to work with it, right? It was like, I tried to say, okay, well, I'll just push my windows so that it will accommodate that. I never could get it to work. I always ended up feeling like, okay, I do a 16-8 great through the week, but then Sunday I totally mess it up. So therefore intermittent fasting doesn't work. And now I've got to find something else because I can't be consistent. So, around that time is when I heard Tim Ferriss talking about the idea of a cheat day, because a cheat day can actually help you be, according to studies, sometimes, who knows whether these are real good studies, but the idea that if you have a cheat day, you will have better plan adherence, because knowing that you always have a day off coming up makes the whole thing seem easier. Like, if you tell yourself, like, this is the plan you're doing for the rest of your life, and it's always the same every single day, you never get a day off. Like, very few people have the discipline or just the desire for that to be their reality. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try taking the cheat day, right? So cheat day on Sunday. That was my plan. And then we started going to church. And so, as I mentioned before, part of the thing is you fast for communion. So the idea that we would just wake up early on Sunday morning and have our pancake breakfast no longer worked. Okay. So I thought, I'm not sure how this is going to work, because now what are we going to do? And we decided to move the pancake breakfast to Saturday morning. So then I was kind of faced with another thing, like, well, do I want Saturday, it could have been my cheat day. I could just say, okay, I'm just going to take Saturday as my cheat day, and then Sunday, I'm going to do OMAD. Well, that didn't quite work, because the thing is, on Sunday, like I mentioned, like, we're fasting for communion, yes, but then we have coffee hour. Well, coffee hour is wonderful. I love it. But I want to take part in it. Like I tried a couple of different times. Like I'll just have coffee. I'll just have coffee and I won't eat any food. But that felt weird and I didn't like it. I was like, I want to have the baked goods. I mean, it's a community building kind of a thing. Like because everybody brings something, or not maybe not everybody, but a lot of people bring things, right? People bring things, and then you're like, oh yeah, you brought this, and then or like, hey, I brought this. Like, what do you think about this? And there's this community and fellowship thing that happens, and I wanted to be a part of it. I didn't want to be like, well, I've got my coffee with half and half, and this is what I do. I always practice OMAD. I was like, I want to change this, so I did. And I just kind of mentally accepted, like, nah, this might be harder to maintain in the range I want to maintain in, because now I've got, 2 MAD on Saturday and cheat day on Sunday still. So what does that mean? But I found, it didn't really affect things. And so, and I did experiment for a little while with like, okay, should Saturday be just a day where I don't really do any fasting, or what do I really want? I found the best flow for me was eat the pancake breakfast and then have the meal at the end of the day, and then just don't snack throughout the day. That's that just worked for me. So that was the reason. Church was the reason, and so that I have been doing that since 2021. Is that right, Jay? 2021. So 5 years. So 5 years of me having two meals a day plus cheat day on Sunday, and I'm walking 6 miles a day, 6 days a week. So that's my current, like, what I've been doing now for a long time. Okay, well, we are out of time. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. You can get all of my books. Let me hold all of my books up. There we go. So these are all of my books. I've got young adult clean fiction, fantasy, and I also have all these books on weight loss. Every part of your journey is covered. Maintenance, the harder parts, overcoming weight loss obstacles, and of course, the Layback Guide to Intermittent Fasting, that first book I wrote, and the workbook. So anyway, you can get all of those on Amazon. Also, other fine retailers, things like Smashwords, all that good stuff if you're more inclined to that. I also have them on audiobook, except for the maintenance, which is forthcoming very soon. That will be out because Jay is finishing up editing that at some point. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next week.